Hello, you all. It's Agnes coming to you with a project number 2, a fresh, brand new project. I do want to use, literally put to use in my embroidery hoops that, as you can see, is the only ones that I have. I mean, not the only ones, but the ones that completely do not have a pair, because I'm always aiming to use the ones without that tightening mechanism. So, okay, now I'm going to struggle to remove them. And these are around, I think, 12 inches big hoops. And then I am going to simply have one lonely one that I guess, I think that one, the other one is like around 4 inches. So my goal here is to remove those tying mechanisms, but obviously some of them come out very quickly, some of them don't. So whatever I can't, I'm just going to bend it back and hope for the best. Of course, trying to, get whatever I can possibly from this. And then, of course, I could have actually leave it, and maybe that would have been a smarter idea. But again, I'm discovering this project, as we go. So my goal right now is to simply add a little bit of the hot glue to it and connect those both ends together. And I do not know where my hands are going. It seems like, again, my camera was not in the right spot, so I hope you can see this. So that's the whole thing, and I do want to make sure that those pieces are drying properly, because my goal is to simply make the little stand for my planters that I can, of course, keep it on a counter and have fun with it. And of course, I am getting ready to get my patio stuff figured it out. So I'm trying to see if I can get them to hang. And of course, I cannot wait to go to the store and get those some kind of ivies and pretty colorful flowers to fill the pots up. But for now, I'm just going to use what I have. So I think it's going to work. So that's my goal. So now, before I even go there, I do want to for sure to change the color of it, because my intention for it, at least for some portion of a year, to be outside. I do want it to stain it. So that's going to be a small disaster. I don't think there's going to be a painting here needed, but I think it's going to work. So here we go. I am going to start first with my container. And of course, this is my plastic container out of the dollar store or Dollar Tree, whatever that was, and it perfectly fits the rim of my third hoop. So again, as I told you, I am figuring myself out as we go. And of course, I started to do from the rim. But then I decided if this is going to be hanging, I really do not really worry much about the rim, because majority of it is going to be covered by plants. So I think the smarter idea is to start to glue my twine right from the bottom. Guess what? I am going to, this is what happens always with me. And I did not want to erase this portion of the video, because I do want to let you know that I do not know anything and everything. I do know something, not maybe I do know something, but I do not know everything. So of course, in order for me to learn and from you to learn, I always say is it's good to learn from your own mistakes, and of course somebody else's would be better. So guess what? I am starting it from the beginning and decided I ripped this off and I am going to start from the bottom. And of course, that already had a little bit of the hot glue right on it. So I decided to chop it off, cut a little bit of my famous twine that I really truly love to use. And I am just really getting anxious because I am getting to the bottom of it. I am going to simply start with a dab of the glue and simply twirl it all around. And I would say is twirl your container around versus the twine, because this one is already, like I mentioned so many times, it's a very coarse, it has so many spikes, it has so many imperfections, and on top of it, it has those pretty colors to it. And I for sure do not want it to, I mean, of course, if you would have to cut it and start a new twine, it's good. But why if we can just use it at once? So I decided twisting my container, it's much better, at least holding everything in place. So notice that, I love to make twirls. So I am not really adding hot glue every single turn. I'm just adding it here and there because eventually what I've noticed with this twine, it is really listens to what I want it to do, and eventually it does stay still and it get used to its new position. So that's the good portion of it. So now I am just simply going to the rim, and my container does have a little rim to it. So I am trying to make sure that I do have extra support on it because obviously it is in a smaller side. So I did not use no wire, but for sure if I am going to use the pots that will be, bigger, or it would have obviously more dirt into it, I would for sure use the wire and then cover the wire with the twine. But I've shared with you already my orbs, that I have on the patio, the solar light. So I am so excited to bring another project with the embroidery hoop, and I really hope that you are going to be making those orbs lights for your patio, and you are going to make maybe this hanging basket, or that you can later move into your house. So see what happens. I am trying to make as many rows of this on my top rim of my twine as I can, to add additional support to make sure that when I water my plant and it's going to be on a heavier side, nothing will fall through my hoop, because the container fits just right. But this is plastic, so that can actually shrink and disform itself and slip through my embroidery hoop. Well, I am going to hold you here and there with my with this whole process, but I actually learned already to turn my camera off so I don't have to speed it up and spend much more time on editing. But the last final touches you can handle with me. So I am going to use that as an opportunity to again remind you to sprinkle my video, of course, to someone if you know that would love to make something like this that has embroidery hoops, or you can just simply tag that person in the comment. So now, again, I could have gone a little bit deeper into the inside of the pot, but in my container, but I decided against this. All what I want to do is just finish it right on the top, just because if it's going to get water, and as much as I do love the coloration of this twine, I do not want it to have any more. I think I'm content with whatever it happens by accident on it. Can you imagine? Do you remember how big that whole container was? Not the container, my spool of that twine was when I started. But I've made a lot of good projects out of it, and I still hope that I'm going to be able to make many more before I have to really go on a hunt to look for it. I wonder, have you had a chance to find that twine someplace? The big spool like mine is? Or not yet? So it's going to take me a bit here and there, but I'm like literally thinking again about my hoops. Of course, if you are going to use your, that hanging basket right indoors or under cover pergolas or something, then maybe you painting it the color, your favorite color, is a good idea. Otherwise, I think staining is going to be my answer. But again, and plus, when I'm using already a twine, I think that's the better solution in this whole project. But of course, it's up to you and the situation or a place you're going to be putting. If you do have a nice sunroom, obviously, this is like a perfect little thing to hang flowers into it. So that's it. Finally, I'm done. And now it's time to work on my hoops. Decision is made, and my hoops are going to get stained. Look how pretty that looks. I am telling you, I'm always amazed how nice my how nice that yarn looks. So now I'm opening my stain, and of course I'm going to I did not wear the gloves this time, but I'm not really worried because it is water stain. So I'm just going to simply add with my sponge brush all around it. Make sure you paint it everywhere. But I don't think I shook my can enough, because it is still on the lighter side, and I do want to dig a deeper tones to it. But of course, you see, this is all Agnes. Didn't figure it out yet, that it's still not the darker one. And I guess, the whole finish of the embroidery hoop is on the lighter side. So getting a little bit of that stain on it, it's still good. But I'm still looking for a deeper tones. And of course, I don't see it. And I am just worrying about me spilling the stain all around it or getting my hands dirty. But it's a real life. And as I always say, is I am not hiding. Even if I make a mistake, well, you see it. You make sure you shake your can before you start staining. Well, I am going to have fun. I'm going to speed up this process because I guess I was having too much fun and forgot that I did not shake my can. It takes a while, and as I mentioned earlier, I am making mistakes and I forget things. And of course, as I was doing this here, I literally figured it out. Here we go. Agnes just shook the whole can inside, stirred it up. And see how pretty now it is? So I hold you a little bit, away from that whole process of me repainting it. And again, I'm just showing you that I've added a second coat, and that's how it's supposed to look originally. And now I'm just simply wiping it off and making sure that my stain is covering every single piece of my embroidery hoop. It takes a while, but I figured it out. And of course, as you can see, is my hoop opened up a little bit, and I really hope now that with that stain that it's on it, everything is going to glue itself up again. But if not, then I'm going to use a little bit of a wire and twine. It'll be all good. So here we go. I glued the portions together, and now I am ready to put this, to simply tie and cover the metal that I was unsuccessful removing at the beginning of this video. So all what I'm doing is adding the hot glue, and my whole idea is to the twine that I started with overlap with the hot glue, with the wraps every single time, to make sure that nothing goes anywhere and nothing opens up. I do not really want it to, cover a lot of it, but I would say is the width of this whole thing is going to be predicted by, obviously, my metal portions of that. And again, as you notice is here, I'm not going to be able twist and turn my whole hoop because it's going to be even bigger disaster. So I decided to cut a little bit of the twine and go for it. And of course, I need to fix my embroidery hoop and go for it again. But it happens. So what I decided to do is I just simply added the twine underneath and on the top, and then added the hot glue, so it gives additional support. And I know that it will go nowhere when this is all secured. And of course, I'm not going to be using a heavy pot. This is just a small container that it's not going to fit a big pot with a lot of dirt. So there's not going to be a lot of weight on it. So here we go. I'm almost done with this one. And now, am I done? Yeah, almost. I just want to make sure that everything on the back and on the top is secured. See, I am trying to do it again all over because, to reinforce. So I'm adding additional layer right on the top. Just because of my embroidery hoop, one of them was opened up. Even though I secured it, I still want to make sure it goes nowhere. So I'm going to speed up again because there is really nothing similar, just repetitive process, even though I did stop my camera here and there thinking it's going to be enough for me to talk to you. But as I'm looking right now, I feel like I don't want to hold you too long with this. So here we go. I'm wrapping like there is no tomorrow in a fast forward, sort of in a speedy motion. So now, as I'm going around it, I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do with with the containers, because obviously I do want to make sure that it goes nowhere. And there are some ways. Of course, in the past, I used to just put, the cork board right on the bottom of it. This time, I wanted to bring an embroidery hoop just because I had that lonely one. So you could actually wrap as I'm holding it right now, again, to sort of mirror whatever we've done on the top. You can wrap, put your embroidery here right on the top, or you can just put it sideways. And I think I decided to go sideways to have it even more open up. So if I do have a flower that has a little bit more of action on it, it is going to nicely, I will be able to maneuver around it, and it's going to nicely fit all around there. And of course, I'm adding hot glue. Why will I not? And I'm starting my wrapping process. And there is really nothing that you can go wrong around this, or where are you going to do it? Because at the end of the day, everything is adjustable. Everything is moving parts. It is actually the most exciting process because I already see this whole thing, in my eyes. And I really hope, because I've done them again with a different bottoms, and I will for sure make those other ones too. There's other ones that I actually only left the embroidery hoop and used the pad that was that actually comes from the store, to simply put it in there and use the macrame right on the underneath, with a little with the little tassel or the wooden beads hanging out. I mean, there are plenty different ways of making it, and I am positive we are not done with those. I really truly enjoy the process, and I love plants. I love flowers. I don't really have a green thumb, but I'm trying, and at least the ones that are with me over and over, I mean, they're still good. I have to give them, spring or summer air and all that stuff, and move them outside to, get stronger, but I'm trying my best. So here we go, just like that. One side is done. So now we're moving to another one, and I'm going to literally repeat the same process. And of course, as I mentioned to you, everything is immovable parts. And the goal here when you do this is to make sure that this all nicely stands without, being wonky. So it's again the same process, adding the hot glue and going it all around it. And of course, I just wanted to remind you, when you add the hot glue, leave a little piece off and then wrap over with your, running twine to make sure that everything is secured properly. And that's what it is over there. I can tell you this right now. The entire video with the picture and me talking, it's maybe around 15-20 minutes. It is pretty fast because there's a lot of repetitive things right on it. But it is actually not a difficult process, and it's really fun. And I always say is, anything wrapping wise, for me at least, it's very relaxing, and it's good exercise for your fingers. So see, just like that, I finished the third top. And notice what I've done. The top portion of my wrapping is a little bit wider, and the ones are a little bit smaller. I've done that intentionally. So it does have a little bit more of a difference. So of course, when you're going to be moving, you know which handle to grab. And now look at this. Boom. The container fits perfectly. I am so happy. It does actually look pretty cool. Now I'm going to simply bring my pot right in there. And of course, this is for now what it's going to be, because that's the smallest one. And of course, it's not the real one. But I love this grass. And if I could find it anywhere else, I love ornamental grass. I would. So this is for sure. It's going to be for the indoors if this container ends up. But that's what it is right now. Look how pretty that looks. And it hangs nicely. I'm still not ready yet with the patio, but at least it does look good right there. I really hope that you enjoy this project. Look at that little, color variation right in there. Everything fits nice, even with the colors. I really hope that you did. Actually, I inspired you to make one for yourself. It does have a little bit of a details, and it's again doesn't take away of any plans that you can possibly have in those. And of course, you know me, I am going to town with all those pictures, but I'm trying to show you possibilities when that's going to end up being in the house later when the weather is getting not too interesting. You can put it right next to the candles. I hope you've done them already, and enjoy your container all year round. So I really hope you enjoy this project, and I hope that I inspired you to make one for yourself. And it's again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to sprinkle. Bye.